I want to thank the panel for being here today. The USDA estimated that foreign investment in U.S. agriculture land grew to approximately 40 million acres in 2021. That's a GAO study. We increasingly find out that China is not only after food, but after land that is near important installations. Perhaps it could be something related to the military. Do any of you have an expertise in speaking about that, that you could lend some insight to that? Captain, you?
Yes, sir. The threat from the Chinese in terms of what they're acquiring in our country, in terms of buying land in its close proximity to our military installations, is greatly concerning, as was their spy balloon reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance balloon that flew over our country and collected over critical U.S. military installations. And so we need to be very aware of where they're at, what they're doing. In the book that we just wrote, Embracing Communist China, America's Greatest Strategic Failure, we actually call out and say that we need to move the CFIUS process, which is the oversight of where certain acquisitions are made in our country, move it out of Treasury and move it over to defense, because that's how important and serious this threat is.
Interesting.
If I can add a little bit
to that. Yes, sir.
It's
Please go ahead.
It's not just in the U.S., right? Not only is China buying millions of hundreds of thousands of acres.
You can go to Uruguay and find it.
Well, you can go to in Argentina, which is where I was going. China has a military base with satellites that can track their polar LEO satellites that can then track hypersonic weapons. This isn't fear-mongering. This is reality. In Argentina, they're building a dual-use port in Ushuaia, and they're going to land a fiber optic cable to Antarctica, and the fiber optic cable can be used as a sensor to detect our submarines. In Panama, China owns container terminals on both sides of the canal. So I think it's not just in the United States, but we should be aware that China is encircling us, and we need to kind of wake up and get out of the matrix.
If I could add just a little bit more to that, and the purchases of land don't always have military and intelligence implications. It's also crime and drug running, which we've seen in states like Oklahoma and Maine, where federal authorities have arrested Chinese individuals likely associated with the triads who are running drugs and committing federal crimes within our borders. Correct, the marijuana farms, which is why we need a whole-of-government approach, as the other panelists and I have suggested. There's not one solution to this problem. It's a very comprehensive, different, serious threat than anything we've ever faced in the past.
Ms. Kissel, so that we all understand we're up here for policy, I think the people that are serious about this are in the room right now. Tom, welcome. I'm glad to see you. I'm interested if both of you would accept the challenge. I'm not asking about a 20-page paper. I'm asking about an executive summary or whatever you'd like to do. I'm interested in how you, Ms. Kissel, in the Trump administration, under Secretary of State, viewed this issue and how it was looked at from if there was a holistic viewpoint of a plan that might lay itself out across government. Was it NSA who was in charge? Was it out of the White? If you would do that, and Tom, if you would do that for me too. I'm not trying to do anything more than compare and contrast. I think somewhere the answer's got to lie with all of us, not one administration or the other. And I know that there are people that write about these things all the time. I'm not doing that. But I am interested in professionally, a professional viewpoint that you have about serious people in the prior administration and serious people in this administration writing me, I will share it with everyone on this committee, about how it was looked at from a perspective of national security, and following down. Is that, Tom, is that something that you could accept?
100%, it's a legitimate concern, and I appreciate the way in which you're approaching it.
Because I'm concerned, we had a member here who was talking about it's all politics. No, it's not all politics. It's all protecting the nation, and there are people who do things differently. Mr. Chairman, when I receive this, I will notify this committee for distribution. I'd like to ask that both of you provide that to me. Tom, I'll give you my information.
Thank you.
And
You're speaking specifically of the land.
No, sir.
Purchases.
I'm speaking about how we should look at China. If it's just land, that's fine. But I'm worried about how do we look at China? Do we have someone specifically related in there who can see the entire set? I appreciate both of you. If you want to send me something just on land, that's fine. What I'm saying to you is I will share it with the entire committee, and we will appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. Captain, I'm sorry I've run out of time, but I gave you my information. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Porter from Colorado.